Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. We're finally getting some warmer weather here. And I just have to say, after all the snow we've had this winter, I am so ready for this. So it's been so nice to finally have temperatures above freezing. Today, I want to talk about something that I see all the time inside my coaching practice. And it's an issue that I dealt with for many years myself. Have you ever had like this big goal for yourself, something that really, really excites you, and you have this clear vision of what your life will look like once you get to this end result? But then the moment you start thinking about everything you need to do to make it happen, you just feel completely overwhelmed. And so then instead of actually taking action toward the goal, you basically feel like you don't even know where to start. You feel like you're not capable of doing all of the things that would be required to get there. And so then you just stay stuck where you are right now. If this sounds familiar, you are so not alone. So many of us high achieving women can end up paralyzed because we feel like we have to have this entire plan all mapped out for us before we can even get started. But what if I told you that you really just need to focus on one next right step? Today, I'm going to show you how you can shift from feeling completely overwhelmed about accomplishing your goals to creating momentum by focusing on just one aligned action at a time. So here's what I see happening so frequently with the women I speak to inside my coaching business. I hear them say things like they believe that they need to have this perfectly mapped out plan before they can ever get started. And then they try to predict every obstacle or problem that might come up along the way in advance. And they try to make sure that every step is going to be the right step and that they're not going to make any mistakes before they can ever get started. And so, what ultimately ends up happening is they get stuck in either analysis paralysis or just straight like overwhelm. They feel like it's all just too much and they can't possibly figure it all out and actually make it happen. And they never end up even taking the first step toward this goal because it all just feels like too much for them. But here is the truth about creating success in accomplishing your goals. Every big achievement happens one step at a time. No one, literally no one, figures every step out up front. And even if they start with what they think is a perfectly mapped out plan, it's not all going to happen exactly as they planned it. Things change. Pivots need to be made every single time. No one ever starts with the exact plan that they think they need to take and then ends up following it to a T. It just doesn't happen. You can kind of think about it like driving at night. So when you're driving at night and it's like completely dark, think about driving on like a highway or something where there are not a lot of streetlights around. And ultimately, you can only really see what's illuminated just ahead of you by your headlights. You can't see the entire road up ahead. You can only see sort of the next however many feet that you need to drive on that road. Accomplishing big goals in life are exactly like that. You don't need to see every single step ahead of you. You just need to see the next step or two that you need to take right now. So here's a little reframe that I like to do when working with women inside my practice. Instead of asking yourself, how do I do everything? How do I make this goal happen? Shift instead to what is one action I can take today that will move me closer to this goal? You don't need to have step 10 figured out already. Just step one. There's a little process to kind of help you get started in thinking about things this way. Little 3 steps you can kind of take to really shift into this reframe here. Step 1 is to define your goal. What is your goal? For example, I want to leave my corporate job and start my own business. And then step 2 is you ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to move toward this? This does not have to be some huge leap forward or some major step toward that goal. Like, you're not going to go today and just hand in your resignation, right? So, what is one small, simple step that you could take today to start moving toward that goal? And then commit to just doing that one thing without worrying about all the rest of the steps right now. Just focus on that one thing you can get done today. And ultimately, you will be so surprised and excited about the progress that you can make in just a week's time when you start to break it down like that, when you start to think about it on a daily basis. I've actually been reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is a great book. If you've never read it, I highly recommend it. And it's all about this concept that the only thing that actually exists in our reality is this moment right now. The past does not exist. The future does not exist. Literally, the only thing that exists is this moment right now. And most of our stress and anxiety in our lives comes from trying to live in the past or live in the future. And as it relates to creating goals like this for yourself and trying to accomplish them, a lot of times what is happening is you're trying to live in the future. You're trying to change something in the future, which is not possible. The only time in which you can make any change is right now, today. And so the only way to accomplish a goal in life is to focus on right now, this time now, today, that does actually exist. And to break it down to what can I do today? What can I do right now to move me closer to that goal? Because that is ultimately the only way that you're ever going to accomplish it. Because you cannot live in the future. You cannot change the future. You could only change this moment that you are in right now. So, just as a few examples of sort of bite-sized steps that you could take today to move you closer to a goal that you might have are things like, if you want to start your own business, like in the last example, figure out a domain name. Like, what would your business be called? And can you get a website that includes that name in some way, right? If you just want to change careers, you feel like you are better suited for doing something else, reach out to one person in that field that you're interested in and See if you can set up a time to chat about what it's actually like to work in that field. Or you just want to simply improve your mindset. Spend 5 minutes today just journaling on your beliefs and specifically, your beliefs about success or achieving goals, right? Just break it down into small bite-sized pieces because that is truly the only way you're ever going to accomplish the big goals that you're setting for yourself in life. Next, I want to go through an actual exercise for you. And so if you need to, you can actually pause the episode right now so that you can take some time to work through this little exercise today. Okay, so I want you to start by thinking about a goal that you've set for yourself that you haven't actually taken any action toward yet. Then ask yourself, what is one small action I can take today that will bring me closer to this goal? It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be something that you can actually do today. Now, I want you to take some time and write this down. Like, actually get out your notebook, get out a piece of paper, get out your notes app on your phone, and write this down. And then commit to taking that one action today. Just one thing. And then, if you want to even further kind of solidify this and create more momentum for yourself, come back to it tomorrow and be proud of yourself. Think about the fact that you actually took a step toward accomplishing this goal that you've set for yourself. And then go through the same process tomorrow morning and see what you can get done tomorrow. And then, of course, so on and so forth. Just keep coming back to it every morning and seeing how far you've gotten in just a week's time. And I think you truly will be so excited and proud of yourself for what you can get done when you break it down day by day. For me, understanding this concept was such a huge step forward in my progress and actually accomplishing the things that I wanted to accomplish and creating the life that I've created for myself, where I'm actually excited about what I get to do with my time. And I feel fulfilled and I feel grateful every single day for this life that I get to live. But I spent years in this cycle of thinking about starting my own business and then getting so completely overwhelmed by everything that I would need to do to make it happen. I needed to do and learn and figure out so many things to get to where I am today from where I was 3 years ago, right? I've had to learn so much. And so 3 years ago, when I would think about doing what I've done, I would get so bogged down in trying to figure out all the different steps and trying to think about everything I would have to do and everything I would have to accomplish to actually make it happen. And I would just feel so overwhelmed, so unprepared, and so unqualified to do any of that. And so I would just kind of stop myself and I would say, you know what, this isn't realistic for me. And I just need to be grateful for the life that I have. And I just need to stay where I am. But those times would eventually lead to me feeling burnt out, completely unfulfilled, feeling like my life just wasn't what I really wanted it to be. And I would end up going through the same cycle again until eventually I decided to invest in the mentorship that I really needed to figure this all out. I invested in a coaching program so that I could learn from someone who had already done the exact thing that I wanted to do. And guess what? On day one of the program, she didn't sit me down and tell me, oh, you're going to need to take this step, this step, this step, this step, this step, this step to accomplish your goals. She didn't sit me down and tell me every single step that I would need to accomplish in order to get to where I wanted to go. Instead, she helped me to focus on the first step. What was the first thing I really needed to do to make this happen? And each week, she would add another piece of that puzzle in there, and she would show me how to do that next thing that I needed to do to keep moving in the right direction. And the best part of it all was that because it was broken down into this step-by-step process, and I was able to complete certain things each week that were moving me closer to this goal, I could then see the actual tangible progress that I was making toward my goal, which created so much momentum for me. I could see that I was closer to my goal than I was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And so that kept me motivated and kept me moving forward and truly just created this momentum for me in making progress day by day toward my goal. So, all of that is to say, just take some time today to think about if you could take just one small aligned step today. The fact that if you did that, if you just did that one thing, you're going to be further ahead than 99% of the people who are still sitting there, just stuck in their heads, spinning their wheels, going nowhere toward these big goals that they've set for themselves. Your dream life, this life that actually lights you up and makes you feel fulfilled and excited and joyful every single day, is built by taking one small action at a time. You just need to get started. And that is the biggest hurdle for so many of the women that I talk to. They have these goals that they've set for themselves, but then they start trying to figure out all of the pieces of the puzzle to getting there. And they get so overwhelmed that they don't even take the first step forward. Okay. So if this has resonated for you today and you're feeling like, yes, I am so ready to finally break free from feeling stuck and overwhelmed, and you want someone to help you figure out how to stay focused on what actions that you need to take each day that are truly aligned for you, then I would love to chat with you. My one-on-one private mentorship is designed to help driven and ambitious women just like you stop overthinking and start creating real, tangible changes in your life without burning out or getting stuck in overwhelm in the process. So if you are ready to get clarity and create momentum toward the life that you actually want to be living, click the link in the description here and let's set up a call where I'll answer any questions that you might have, and I'll share more details about how we can actually work together in my private mentorship. Hopefully you found today's episode helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments here. Wherever you're listening or watching this episode today, I would love to hear your feedback, hear your thoughts about this, and also hear about any progress that you were able to make just by sitting down and doing the exercise that I outlined for you today. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.